Hi, I'm Ollie and I'd like to give you a quick demonstration of the procedural textures I've made for my latest game. First one up being the rocky planet. As you can see here, the procedural properties that you can set in the script. First one is random seed, which is very straightforward. You can just randomize the appearance of it. And you can enter a random seed if you need to make the same planet again. Next we've got water and heat. These work together, so at the moment we've got no heat. As you would expect, if I turn the water up, we'll have an icy snowball planet. A bit more, so completely ice-covered planet, because there's no heat. If I turn that heat up now, we'll get some pack ice at the poles and everything in between. So if I turn that down a bit again, you can see there's more ice, a bit colder, and down a bit more, we've got even more ice. But as I said, these are linked together, so even if it's very, very cold, if you have no water, there is no ice. Okay. Equally, if you turn this up a bit, so we've got ice caps here and snowy mountain tops where there are mountains. If you turn the heat all the way up, that snow will be removed from the mountain tops. And again, with water, one of the other things, it makes oceans and it makes rivers here. Next up, we've got craters and mountains. This is easier to show if I turn off the water. Okay, so at the moment the mountains are down at the lowest, but there are still some mountains because it's a rocky planet. I can turn the craters up to make it look more like a moon. So this is something that's been pounded by meteors. It's got loads and loads of craters. And if I wanted to make it a really mountainous planet, I can turn the mountains all the way up. And there's mountains everywhere. And if I turn up the water, we'll get snowy mountain tops. There we go, and we get rivers as well. Finally, we have vegetation, just a toggle on and off. Now vegetation again works with heat and water. As I turn down the heat, the vegetation will get closer to the equator, so it's kind of green now in the equator. And if I turn that up, the vegetation will move towards the poles. Vegetation will always appear around the rivers, so if I turn that off, you'll see that the rivers become clearer around the edges. Okay. Finally, we've got primary color and secondary color. These are quite straightforward. You can just set the color of the planet. So if it was more like Mars, you'd maybe want it red, orange. Turn off the water. Mars doesn't have any water. Increase the craters and turn down the mountains. And you've got a sort of Mars-like planet there. Okay, so that's the rocky planet. Complementary to this is the atmosphere texture. Again, you can randomize it and set a random seed if you need to. And the main one is atmosphere thickness. So this just pastes on a cloud texture and random rotation, which I think looks rather good for how simple it is. And again, you can do the same with storms, which just pastes a hurricane texture to show that it's a stormy planet. You can randomize that. And as this is Mars, we can change the color, so let's maybe change it to light orange. It's a dusty dust storms. And yeah, that's the atmosphere texture. Okay, continuing on, we have a gas giant texture, which is much simpler. All you need to do with this one is randomize it, and it will change the color, and it will change the pattern for you. And every now and again it will paste a storm, kind of like Jupiter's red spot, like that. And these rings are not procedure generated, they can just be toggled on and off when you don't want them to appear. Okay, so that's the astronaut. Moving on, we have the star. Now this isn't actually moving, it's animated. It's an animated procedural texture, as you can see there. Again, it's got a random seed, so you can make sure you generate the same one if you need to. And the star color can be set, which is very important for my game, because you need to learn about star classes. So this is a class G star, and you have a red giant, but that's pretty straightforward. They mostly look the same. And finally, the last texture is the background texture, the skybox. This is a cube map, each face being generated as a tileable square texture. And all you need to do with this is randomize it. In the background, you've got some galaxies and nebula that are just pasted a colour over them, just to give it a bit of flavour, so it's not just boring stars all the time. And these are pasted on randomly. Sometimes there's none, sometimes there's lots, with random colours each time. Okay, thanks for watching.